Hey everybody, welcome to Geeksvana Live. I hope you're all extremely well. I want to say a very big happy Thanksgiving to all of the US viewers that are watching this either live or during the replay. I hope you all have a fantastic Turkey Day yeah, have a relaxing weekend. Frankly, as I know a lot of you extend your Thanksgiving off into the weekend when it's starting to get a bit cold out there now, etc., isn't it? It's certainly starting to feel that festive period. It's something we don't celebrate here in the UK, but still, we hope you guys have a wonderful time. Now, tonight was supposed to be something a little bit different. We're relaunching the brand The Drone Show that we used to have on the channel, which means myself and a co-host. We do have a co-host this evening who's very excited to be back on the show, actually. But we are going to an all-studio setup with myself and our new host, Olive. Unfortunately, Olive tested positive for COVID-19 just this morning. Well, she tested yesterday and the results came through this morning. So the second co-host chair is looking all sad and empty right now. But we have, as I say, we have somebody else joining us. It's actually Stephen from the Flyby Guys. So it's one of our more conventional live streams this evening. And then the next edition in a fortnight's time of the Drone Show will be the new format, which I'm excited to show you guys. So tonight we're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to be talking about a few different things, including my initial thoughts on the DJI Mavic 3, giving my advice so far on who I think the drone might be for, and just picking out a few bits and pieces. I'm only about 40 to 50% of the way through recording my video about it, but yeah, I just really wanted to give you guys the initial thoughts on where I'm standing on it. We're also going to be talking about Starlink. We have an unboxing of the Starlink kit coming up on the channel, and we're going to be having a lot of fun with it. It's a beta demo version. We're going to be finding out just what we can do with it and what we can't do with it. Our goal is to have it set up somewhere in the background here, nice and shiny and lit up, looking cool. And we're actually going to be streaming via the Starlink setup. So we're actually, hopefully very soon, our live streams will actually be powered by Starlink, which I think is, yeah, I think it's potentially very exciting. We're also tonight going to be bringing you an update on the DronePrep story and explaining what's happened since that story ran and how I feel about the situation and the DronePrep service, etc. since then, and the drone access policy. And we're also going to be showing some viewer videos, which I'm very excited about as well. So thank you very much for everybody who has sent those in. Just very quickly, whilst we're thanking people, I want to thank our show sponsors. First up is Moonrock Insurance. If you go to hobby.moonrockinsurance.com, you can get your UK hobby insurance there. And if you use Geeksvana 10, you can get a 10% discount as well, which is very exciting. And also, of course, we have Drone Masterclass, dronemasterclass.co.uk, who have launched their new website today, which all looks very slick and happening. And in fact, they are just about to launch their 25% off Black Friday sale. So go over there and have a look if you're interested in your A2 CofC, GVC, and some of the other courses they have and are launching very soon. So yeah, it's a fun time, frankly. And thank you very much, as I say, to both sponsors for being there. I really do appreciate it. Now, before we bring Stephen in, I just want to say very quickly, thank you to all the people that have joined us in the chat so far. Andy Cortez, who was first in the chat. I think actually Mike Miller was first in the chat, so but his comments disappeared now. But yeah, Andy, hi. I know you're working this evening, so if you're listening whilst you're driving, eyes on the road, sir. Drone Viral, Jesse, good to see you. Mike Plowman, good to see you as well. Killer B, hi, Killer B, good to see you. Mike Drennan, Fly Sky Drones, who is Tony McGinn, a couple of our channel members there. Fish Diaries, good to see you. Mike Miller, as I was saying. The Mojex here as well. Mudball Creative. Stephen, the Flyby Guys, who was waiting backstage very patiently. You're being very quiet tonight, Stephen. Is that because you've got no one to take the mickey out of me with? You're lonely. Okay. Well, we'll bring you on very soon. Don't worry. I know you're excited to get back on the channel. Jackrabbit FPV, great to see you as well. Now I shouldn't have woken him up. I should have left him asleep. He's now screaming in my ear, but there we go. But first up, before we bring Stephen, I'm going to just play one of the first viewer videos, which is a short video from Adam, aka Burlap and Light. And this actually shows the full colours at the Sitting Bull Falls. And this is filmed with an Evo 2, which is very cool. was a very nice chilled video to start the evening with, I have to say. If you're sat down pre-turkey, as most of you will be over in the States, unless you've already had your turkey, let me know in the chat, US viewers, have you had your turkey yet? Something cool and chill on Thanksgiving, and for us UK guys over here in the evenings, relaxing as well. So very cool. So it's got a very quick blink and you'll miss it intro to play for Stephen coming in now, which he's prepared actually for an intro for one of his videos, but I thought it was quite a fitting way to bring him into the show.
I'm back, baby. I'm back.
He's back. I'm gonna have to play that again. Sorry. No green screens were harmed in the making of this video.
Absolutely not.
That's very cool.
Pure camera work.
so that was the first one, was obviously in Finland as the winter's starting to set in, getting a little bit rainy and things.
Yes. And then it continued. The beach part was in West Papua.
Very cool. I mean, those waters looked amazing. That did look like a green screen. If it wasn't for the fact that there was a chap scrambling about on the rocks behind you, risking life and limb.
I was hoping that guy who was there, he was jumping into the water, and I was trying to get to the point where I would do that, and then he would jump in, but he wasn't for having it. He was waiting for waves to come in and stuff, So
damn him. Didn't he know that you've got important filming to do, and crazy, really crazy.
It's great to be back. I feel like it's been months, although it's been months, but I feel like it's been a long time.
Yeah, it does feel that way.
Missed this. It's great to have. It's just great. It's just great to be here.
Yeah. Although of course you wouldn't have been back if Olive hadn't tested positive, but we won't dwell on that. We're happy you're here. That's the most important thing. And there are still going to be plenty of Three Amigos shows with myself, Stephen, and Andrew. Yes. It's just that the drone show is going to be a regular twice a month show on a Thursday evening, like the OG show that we used to do. So I'm looking forward to doing that and building it up as a really cool in studio show. So, yes. So Stephen will be on the channel a lot still, but just it wasn't intended for this evening. Sorry, I made you sound like you weren't welcome there, and I hugely appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you. So first up, our first thing we're going to talk about this evening is DJI. We do have a bit of DJI to talk about this evening, but there's also other updates as well for people that would like to see a bit of other topics happening. It was nice to see actually the first video was by an Otel, an Evo 2. So it's nice to mix it up occasionally, isn't it?
I like that. Just like I was saying during that video, I would really like to see more videos from the Otel series.
Yeah.
On here actually, so that we can give it some attention as well.
Exactly.
I think it does deserve that. It's just good to kind of mix it up just so that people see, because we always assume when we see a video, when you see it so good, you kind of go, is that a Mavic 2 Pro?
Which DJI is it? Yeah, exactly. Is it good enough? Is it the Mini 2, or is it actually good enough that it's the Air 2S or the exactly? No, indeed, I completely agree, and it is good to have that variance. But first up, we're going to be talking about a story which has broken in the last 24 hours surrounding the new DJI Mavic 3, of course, and something quite unusual in terms of what we normally see from DJI, where they've actually come out publicly and stated that they're going to be extending the warranty on their new DJI Mavic 3 drone for all purchases until February 2022. So effectively what's going to happen here is that for anyone that buys the Mavic 3, you're going to have that warranty period and care refresh period essentially extended. So if you bought it already at launch, you're going to have all that time all the way up to the February 7th, 2022, which is also the end of the Chinese New Year, I believe. And so yes, so basically you're going to have that extra warranty period. Now, it's an unusual thing to do. I don't think I've ever heard of DJI doing this on another product. Have you?
No. It sounds like admitting defeat in a sense that they really pushed this out too soon. I know that we've been talking, let's say privately, about how things have been going with DJI and Otel and all the rest of it. And I feel very strongly about this. Is that I do feel that this has been rushed out because it's more like they've been in competition with
Indeed,
each other.
and I do have our next topic after this one is actually specifically on the DJI Mavic 3, and I do have some quite interesting thoughts on that drone. And of course, this story does directly relate to it. But it again, as you're saying, it does feel like perhaps something that's a reaction to what's happening in the marketplace. You know, that perhaps they're not selling as many of the drones as they thought they would or hoped they would. And I think that feature set not being there is interesting because, of course, as well, it doesn't seem to have been put out and communicated out particularly well to the creative community that had the drones early. Certainly there's a lot of videos saying I only got the release firmware 36 hours 24 hours before launch, so I've had to make this video quickly because the stuff before that had other features and that type of thing. And I have heard some creators who have had access to the withheld features on an early beta firmware, and they're saying they do run well, etc., and that type of thing. So it'll be interesting to find if we ever find out why they withheld these things. And really, the only way they would ever do that, of course, is because they're not working basically properly, that they are glitching.
Which, of course, is good, because it's not good to release these things or release the software when it's not working, because it can have like a nasty, like say, kickback, all the rest of it. But of course, I think I think the DJI should have been very upfront from the start. If we think of the video that we had, the release video that we had in the middle of November, I think it was, for the big Ronin, where they really went through everything and they discussed it. And I would have liked that kind of video for the release of the Mavic 3.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That didn't come out, which of course was I don't want to use the word suspicious, but it was, it kind of felt that this being the drone that we'll be waiting for, why did it not have
I know.
more attention?
I know the Ronin 4D was in development for a very, very long time. For a very, very long time. I mean, there are photos of it in the wild dating back a good couple of years. So that product was in a lot of development. And of course, because of the way they have to run things, and because they want to get them approved by Netflix and that type of thing to be used in the actual film industry, then there is a much longer development process. But it did feel like a more developed and ready product. And I think you have to say that the Mavic 3 potentially wasn't ready. And this is, releasing this announcement to have the extended warranty is something where they're trying to say, hey, okay, the guys that have bought it, don't return it, because we're actually going to give you this period free, essentially. I mean, and it feels like almost like an anti-return type of tactic to me, that they're trying to ensure that products don't come back because people are worried about, what if I get to January and I still don't like it? What's going to happen then? Well, what they're saying here is that actually you'll still be able to have that period of warranty and period of care refresh in the bank, as it were. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, and it'll be interesting to see how the January updates impact things. I know that there have been updates on other drones like the Mini 2 and the DJI Air 2S, which have been very, very popular, which have almost, they timed them very well, but again, they weren't promised at launch, those specs, and those updates kind of leapt the sales forward a little bit as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I always want to see drone manufacturers succeed, especially DJI, that I own so many of their products around me. I certainly want them to succeed.
Yeah, I really can't wait to get my hands on a Mavic 3, because my favorite drone has always been the Mavic 2 Pro, and it still is my go-to drone.
Yes.
But the way that the Mavic 3 is at the moment, not having the ability to have raw images from the zoom, I just, to me, that would be like half a product. I mean, from what I've seen, it looks fantastic.
Well,
looks really good.
We'll move on now to actually talk about my initial views of the Mavic 3, having played with a couple of them in the last couple of weeks. Very quickly, thank you, Mike Miller, for your #1 fan $10 super sticker. I really appreciate that, sir. I hope you are very well, and a very happy Thanksgiving to you, sir. I hope you're having a relaxing one, Mike. Certainly. So next, to talk about my initial thoughts on flights and use of the DJI Mavic drone, and there's only a few key points that I want to cover because I wanted to bring some of my initial thoughts to it. I don't really do a lot of unboxing-y, sort of review-y type videos of that type. I've got a longer term Mini 2 review, which was released a few weeks ago. I've got one coming up on the FPV drone and the A2S. So I like to, if I can, I love to do all the leak videos, of course, because we are a news channel. So that's important to me. But then also, once I've got the product, I allow myself a bit of time, unless there's something dramatic like there was with the Action 2. But enough said about that story, shall we say? So yeah, so this is really just some cage thoughts as far as where I'm heading, because actually one of the reasons, as I'll come on to, is actually I'm just not sure where I sit on it. So I am working on a full review. It's about 40 to 50% done so far. And yeah, I mean, the main reason why I haven't sort of splashed lots of videos up so far is really because I haven't made my mind up about it yet. It is potentially an excellent drone, but having flown it, having used it, having used so many of their other products, all the way from Inspires down to the Mini, I really feel like it might not be finished yet, and it needs updates and those features releases before we know how good it will be, if that makes sense. I don't feel like we actually know how good or bad this drone is going to be. So I'm playing with it for longer before I add to the hundreds of videos that are out there about it, to see, again, to find the angles, to find the different sort of interesting parts to it. So I'd be interested actually for those of you, and I can see some people are already putting their views in the chat as well, but let me know in the chats, and if you're watching the replay of this, in the comments below, what you think of the new drone, if you have it or if you haven't purchased it. I'd be very, very interested to know. But the first thing to talk about really is build quality. And it's a bit of a, for me, it's a two-sided coin, from the point of view that, and it's a difficult one to talk about actually, because talking about crashing a drone when you haven't crashed the drone is almost, you know, you're almost talking about something that hasn't happened. But the build quality, first of all, as far as actually how I feel it's been made, etc., I feel decent quality materials have been made. Even things down to the props are very nice. Yes, there is that tinny noise when you rattle the top of it, etc. So obviously they've tried to keep things thin to keep it under the 900 grams, perhaps for the European market. And the standard controller is obviously decent quality because it's very much what we're used to with the A2S and the Mini 2 now. So the build quality in terms of the actual drone itself feels very good. You unfold it, it clicks, everything's nice. Does that make sense? It feels solid. It all feels like good quality product, good quality ingredients going into the mix, as it were. I don't feel confident, having looked at a lot of other people's experiences on Twitter and other YouTube creators, in terms of the reaction to any kind of crash. Now, a camera drone to me shouldn't be crashed, so there's the first thing there. It's not an FPV drone. Try not to crash it. But I do feel like with drones like the A2S, if that did clip a tree or something, if that did have a little sort of heavy landing, that type of thing, I feel like it would hold up to it, if that makes sense. And I'm not sure about that with the Mavic 3, mainly because of that very large gimbal and camera on there. And it does feel like it's a little bit exposed. But again, I'm talking about something that hasn't happened. It's just a fear more than anything, if that makes sense. In terms of how it flies, it's very stable. It's very, very good in the wind, I have to say. The advantage of the large gimbal and camera is, of course, that big unit hanging off the front, is the fact that it's very capable. So I find it's very smooth. The functionality of the gimbal has been something that I'm okay with. A little bit of horizon drift, perhaps occasionally, but overall, it's a very solid drone. It feels like it could be as solid and as capable in terms of its actual flying characteristics as the Mavic 2 Pro. But you know what it's like when the Mavic 2 Pro is in the air. It's so solid that it really is a hard one to beat, isn't it, frankly?
It does have big shoes to fill, and
it does.
But where I think, again, I mean, let's just forget the fly app, where it's obvious that I'm negative about. But I want to see the SDK. We need to have the SDK.
Yes.
Very soon. We need to have the SDK out. I would say January, February. We need to have the SDK, because if we don't have the SDK out by January, February, we're losing the professional ability. We're losing the professional community and their need for it, or their want for it. And
exactly.
But I feel myself, because right now the SDK is not out, so therefore, what's my point in buying it? Because I don't have the freedom to to use certain applications with it. So
Yeah.
apart from filming, apart from using it as a camera, we're not a filming company. Flyby Guys don't do actual filming.
Yeah, and yeah, indeed, and it was something that I noticed very early on in the marketing, actually, where they said this one's for the creators, the filmmakers, that type of thing. I thought, oh, okay, are you telling us mapping and data guys that actually, you know, it isn't for us. And my headline for this particular segment in my upcoming video is actually play not work, from the point of view that DJI confirming that the waypoints will not be coming to the Mavic 3. With the weird zoom and sort of no manual shutter. I think the Mavic 3 is always going to remain a consumer drone, and it's not going to make it to the enterprise level. That could be because they're planning the Mavic 3 Enterprise around the corner, and that, you know, by the middle of next year we'll have a very capable Mavic 3 Enterprise. But certainly as it stands, and I've yet to see another DJI release where someone like Drone Deploy would come out with an email and say, it's not working with our product yet, and we don't know when it will be. That's quite an interesting statement to make fairly early on as well. So yeah, I agree with that. But as I say, DJI did market the drone towards the filmmakers, so in that sense, I suppose it does fit fairly well, especially with the Cine version with the ProRes feature. But we'll have to wait and see. But no, I do agree with you there. I think there is some work to do to see, especially in its price range. It is an expensive drone, to see it being accepted on the enterprise commercial side of things. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of steps that need to happen. Flight time I found impressive. I've been getting into the late 30 minutes fairly easily when flying reasonably. I'm finding that I'm finishing what I've done and there's still battery left, if that makes sense. Which again I think is the sweet spot. I think the sweet spot for a drone is you don't need a drone with, you know, 120-minute flight time or anything. Although, hey, you know, I'm open. But if you can plan what you're doing, get a decent amount of footage and everything else like that, and complete a good flight that you're used to completing, and you've still got a good chunk of battery left at the end, then to me that's success in terms of flight time. So I think that's very good. There is this sort of zoom paradox, though, of course, and you alluded to it earlier in the show, where the zoom capabilities are, as far as I'm concerned so far, I don't want to say it completely, but I feel like they are a bit of a gimmick. The 4x zoom on the main camera is pretty good, as it is with, you know, the other drones controlled by the Fly app as well. But the hybrid zoom beyond the 7x up to the 28x, etc., I think is useless for doing anything more than simply looking around your location. It's a fun tool, and they do call it Explorer mode, etc. So, you know, it isn't necessarily something that's intended to, you know, have some kind of cinematic zoom. Even the 4x zoom isn't intended for that. But I do struggle to find what its intended purpose is. Perhaps, yes, when you're up there and you can zoom in and fly and you can check out where you're going to go and fly and that type of thing. But I tend to plan my flights from the ground before I'm up there. So perhaps that's just different.
Yeah, exactly.
So perhaps people that do a bit of planning when they're up there, do a bit of exploring when they're in the air, it will help from that point of view. So, and the settings obviously on that camera, as you were alluding before, are very basic, with only really the exposure being adjustable in Explorer mode. And I just don't see its use. Perhaps someone in the chat or comment below if you're watching this on the replay can tell me what you feel the use for that higher powered zoom would be, frankly. We obviously have a lot of promises to come with this drone, don't we? We've got a big bag of promises coming, as far as a lot of features which are still locked behind the update that's coming. It does annoy me when a manufacturer does that, and I think the drone, as it stands, isn't necessarily worth the money. As it is. I think that if it wasn't for being a YouTuber and gaining, you know, buying all these latest tech and bits and getting hold of them, I'm not sure I would say hand on heart that there is a lot of value for money there. Whether I feel the same in January, perhaps, who knows? And perhaps again, that's one of the reasons why they've extended the warranty on it. We'll have to wait and see. But again, my other issue with that is that, yes, it's a great drone. You know, it's an okay drone now. It could be a great drone with these features unlocked, but until they're working and unlocked and available, I just can't hand on heart say to people, you should potentially go and buy this drone.
Yeah, it's like what we're living in this age at the moment where you can release the product, you can release hardware, you can release software, and it can only be half ready, and it can be, let's say, complete 6 months to 7 months down the line. How many games are released that don't live up to the expectation on release, but then are
Yeah.
absolutely phenomenal, to 1 year later. So, but again, with the drone community, this is not like the gaming community. We have such a high expectation from the Mavic.
Although that's a very good comparison, because I feel like gaming did go down that route with both the consoles and the games themselves. We went from a point where AAA rated ones would always be ready, and the sub brand games would be something that would come out, and because they just didn't have the money, would be developed over time. And I feel that's starting to happen with the AAA drones now as well. And I'm not sure if I'm particularly happy with that. But as I say, I hope to be making a video at the end of January or February, whenever this big update actually does come out, and saying, yay, it's amazing and it does X, Y, and Z. But we'll wait and see. So as I say, that's one of the reasons why my video isn't finished yet, from the point of view that I'm still between the two. Basically, I'm still trying to make my mind up. So, and until I've made my mind up, I can't fully wholeheartedly commit to a video with a particular title or a particular course, but it is coming.
And I think also from the point of view that it's different, that you haven't been given that drone, you've bought that drone.
Yeah.
So you say yes.
Yeah, I've given one, bought the other, but the one that I've given I have to give back. But yes.
But you bought not saying that those who have been given the drone I would be biased about it.
No, yeah. Although of course I'm lucky that the income from the channel was paid for the drone and that type of thing. So it's it's easier for me to buy a drone than your standard consumer. But yeah, I do take on board what you mean completely. We also have, of course, the issue here in the UK and the EU that the C label is going to be holding back the sales, and that's an ongoing concern that I know held back a lot of UK viewers from making a purchase. I feel we are still a way off yet seeing C labels attached to drones in the UK and EU. So it's going to be interesting when that does drop, because of course when it does, you're talking about a sub 900 gram drone, so it's a C1 drone. So you're talking about being able to fly in built up congested areas with no separation from people, just no intentional flight over people. Basically, no intentional flight over people, without having to have the A2 CofC and that type of thing. It's just read the user manual, register it, get your flyer ID, bosh, you're done. So it's going to be a very interesting thing to see if that C1 label does open up a lot of sales there, frankly. So overall, I am trying to keep my excitements aside for a moment, because I think I am a little bit disappointed, because obviously we're all very excited to finally have a Mavic 3. So I'd say disappointed with the drone and not sure I would recommend purchasing it yet, but I think that could change in January. And I think very much the fact that DJI have opened up their warranty till then, they've extending the warranty period for anyone that buys it early, essentially. I think that shows that they feel the same way, frankly. So, yeah, if you're happy to wait for a good amount of the features to be released, then okay, because it is a competent drone in the air, etc. For certain.
But the question is, where do DJI go from here?
Well, yeah, that'll be a question for another day. I think the future of camera drones is a show we'll have in a few weeks' time. But yeah, it is an interesting one, because I don't know whether or not their heart is fully in drones anymore. Which I realize is a very controversial thing to say.
Yeah,
but,
I can see that. You have said this in the past.
Yes.
You have said that. I do remember the times that you have actually said that, and I've kind of disagreed with you on that. But at this point, I'm starting to agree with you. I'm starting to side with you on this.
A lot of people are, actually. A few people I've had that conversation with where I've said, I think in 15 years' time, they're not going to be making consumer drones. They'll still be making drones, but not consumer drones. Yeah. And whereas I think people thought I was crazy a couple of years ago, they're starting to come around now. But but we will see. We will see. Very quickly in the chat, just picking up on what people are saying there. Tony McGinn, Fly Sky Drones UK. I'm happy with my M3, but definitely looking forward to the January updates. And Tony, actually, it's interesting. He's a member of our Discord channel. He's also a channel member as well. And we've chatted a lot about the Mavic 3 before it came out, and then when it came out. And I knew he was going to love that drone. I knew it was going to be perfect for him. He flies his drone a lot. He doesn't sort of sit around talking about it. He's out there a lot flying his drone. He flies in manual mode, etc. And he knows he knows his way around the camera settings and everything else like that. So he's a really competent, very, very good flyer. And I knew he'd like this drone. I knew he'd get some value out of it. And then when the January update comes, it'll be an incredible drone to him, frankly. But there's other people that I think would need those features now to see the value from it, frankly. Next up, have a look here. He also says that Ian from London crashed his. I haven't seen his new video actually, and it was okay. Did he crash it intentionally, Tony, in his video, or did it happen and it survived? You have to let me know. People telling Andy to bundle up. He's driving the bus tonight, so thank you for at least listening, and I appreciate it. Blade. Hi, good to see you. Loving my M3 so far. Looking forward to future updates and getting more over time. And I think that's the thing we do know, that we will get the updates because DJI will be working very, very hard on them.
It's actually funny you should say about Ian, because I did ask Ian a couple of days ago how is the M3, and he hasn't replied to me.
Go and watch his channel. Go and watch his videos. You'll find out what he thinks about the M3. Come on now.
But I was thinking personally, but if he's crashed it, then that's why he hasn't replied to me.
Yeah, no, indeed, perhaps. Gerard, GM Drones UK. Gerard, good to see you. Hope you're well. Totally agree. It was pushed out too quickly for Christmas and caused a lot of grief for customers who are hoping to use their old smart controller. I'm waiting for the new year, spring, for the Cine. Yeah, and I think the Cine does have some good potential. I'm interested to see if we get an enterprise version fairly soon in next year, but it'll be interesting. Russell Gorham, sorry, I said your name wrong there. Russell Glerham, would you rather have waited until January 2022 for the drone, or get the Mavic 3 as partially ready December? I opt no, to whine and fly mine now. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think perhaps because I have other capable drones, and I am analysing this drone from a channel point of view. There isn't a gap in my workflow as a commercial drone pilot or as a hobbyist that this drone fills. I've got lots of different drones that do lots of different things for me. So certainly it is something that I think and that is very much the question. Do you need those improvements? Do you need those features? And that should help you base the decision, frankly. I agree with that. Fly Sky Drones says that no, it was by accident and it lives for another day. That's good. Yeah, he released the video today. Yeah, I haven't been able to see it, unfortunately. And Sam Moore GVA, good to see you. I'm still waiting for my Cine version to arrive. Have been filming a lot of Xmas trials around the UK, and the M3 would have been perfect for this. I hope you get it soon, certainly. Right, should we cheer ourselves up with another viewer video, have ourselves entertained? This one's from Mark, aka Rag and Drone Man UK, and this is a recent edit. So he's edited it and released it recently of some blossoms captured earlier in the year to cheer up our winter blues. Very cool. That's a good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Blossom, sunshine always cheers me up. A bit like the end of your intro video. That a little bit of sunshine on a rainy day is always a good thing.
Well,
So good. They should write a song about it. Oh wait, they did.
oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I always like some cherry blossoms.
Indeed.
We filmed in late May, early June, late May. Probably.
Yeah. Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And again, the Mini 2, great little. I took my Mini 2 to Papua. Great little drone. I just it's just throw in the bag. Just does the job.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely, and again, he is one of the flyers, Mark, aka Raccoon Drone Man UK, that does get out there and fly his drone. And I'm always happy to share stuff. So thank you for sending that in, Mark. I really appreciate it. Okay, before we come on to our next story to discuss, just to very quickly to thank the channel members that are in the chat. I really appreciate it. You'll know who they are. They're either in green, or the ones that are mods as well are blue, and they have the little symbols after their name, be they drones or a little cartoon me, that type of thing. They also get access to things like the member emojis, and also lots of behind the scenes stuff and member live streams and that type of thing. So if you're interested in becoming a member, you can do so from just 99p or 99 cents if you're in the US. And I'm popping a link in the chat to help you do that right now. So feel free if you want to do that. Very cool. Are you a member of the channel?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I think
don't have to shame you.
What? Sorry.
I don't have to shame you into joining then.
No. I think the members should get exclusive access to the live stream before it goes live.
Yeah, Ken Heron does similar to that. He records a pre-show. So he records about 10 minutes beforehand and then releases it afterwards to members. So I feel like I would be copying him if I did that idea. But they are people really going to want to listen to us waffling on about nonsense before the stream?
Well, I mean, the nonsense we talk about can be quite entertaining. And
yeah, but what about all the top secret stuff we talk about as well?
You singing the theme tune before it comes in,
having a little dance, maybe I'll consider it. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I think people might pay not to see it. So yeah, become a member and you won't see me singing and dancing. How's that? So right, okay. The next story is an interesting one. It is around DJI again, but this is an important one to mention to everybody. And actually, it's talking about an update that we had over Twitter today, where and we've had a lot of viewers over the last few months, in fact, now, who are users of the Samsung line of phones, particularly the S21 Ultra, but other Samsung phones as well, have contacted us to say that they're having issues using the Fly app. Now, I actually use the same phone myself. It's over here, S21 Ultra, and for me, I either it works perfectly, the Fly app, but then as soon as the drone takes off, the picture either completely freezes and stays on the last picture with it on the ground, or the entire screen goes black. So it's not really helpful that it works perfectly right up until the point you have to fly the drone. There's a problem there, isn't there, basically? Now, one of our viewers, Michael, aka Airless Mean, actually contacted DJI support and kindly tagged us in. Let me bring that one up here. And but basically was actually reporting the issues that they was having. They did give him a couple of fixes as well, actually, which he did try. But interestingly, they have, whereas they would normally say, okay, the Samsung S21 Ultra is not a supported device, please go away, please go get one that does work with it. They actually have said something a little bit different, as you can see on this tweet here. They have recently noticed that a part of users gave us some feedbacks that there is no video feed on the DJI Fly with Samsung S21 Ultra. And in fact, I've had another comment on my Mini 2 long-term review tonight, only about an hour before coming on this stream, to say that someone else has had that issue with another Samsung device as well since an update. And they're saying that their engineer are still in the process to investigate the issue. So it sounds like rather than saying, okay, it isn't a supported device, go get one that is supported, that perhaps they're seeing that these phones are so popular that they have to do something about it, which I think is potentially good news. They also had a further follow-up to say they're sorry to inform you that our engineers are still locating the issue itself. Please wait patiently. We'll complete multiple tests as soon as possible to ensure stability in use. Thank you for your understanding. So it does seem we might see some progress hopefully soon, because the S21 Ultra, of course, in particular, is a perfect Android option for flying with DJIs, I find, because it's got a decent sized screen. You can slap it in the RCN1 style controller and get the drone up very, very quickly. So I think it's a good thing they're recognizing the issue.
Yeah, it's really good that they also respond as well, and they actually recognize that there's a problem. I don't have any experience with Android except with the smart controller, so I don't know, because I'm, you know me,
yes, Apple and PlayStation. Yeah. I'm Android and Xbox because I win. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I never.
But then I do own an Apple iPad so that I can use my Inspire, etc. for its commercial work properly. So I had to crack and buy one Apple product.
Yeah, but I do tend to find that I never have any, let's say, software issues. I never have issues that it doesn't work because but it's good that they are recognizing it, because they really need to have the software developers. There's obviously different versions of Android that are being used on different phones.
And there are actually a few people in the live chat saying bring back the Go 4 app, etc. And don't get Stephen. I'm going to hold him back, Stephen. I'm going to hold you back, Stephen, because I know that's one you're quite passionate about as well. That the Fly app, especially for the Mavic 3, perhaps wasn't the way to go, and that we would have liked to have seen either a new app or perhaps the Go 4. But again, they need to get it. It's easy to have a list that works, that's compatible and not compatible. I understand how that works, but at least they're being a little bit more open about the fact that they're going to try and fix this one, because I think it's an important one. A lot of people use Samsung phones on the Android side.
Oh yeah, of course.
They're very good. They're very popular drones.
Of course. Phones. Of course. Yeah. And hopefully, fingers crossed that they get that fixed soon, because it's not nice that that is the phones that people use, and they cannot. They don't have the confidence to fly, because if you don't have the confidence to fly, it isn't safe. And if it's not safe, then you have a fear of losing your drone. So
exactly.
Fingers crossed.
Yep, indeed. So coming up next, we've got another update on DronePrep coming, which is the landowner consultancy company, and we've also got some more viewer videos coming up as well, and also Starlink. On coming to Geeksvana as well to talk to you about. So, but first up, we're going to have another viewer video and mix things up a little bit. This one's actually from Rod Piker Drones UK, a fantastic channel that I really do enjoy watching. And this one is actually of some farm work. So enjoy. Very cool. That was awesome. And Rob Piker Drones UK is actually in the chat. Hi, good to see you, sir. Really, really stunning footage. And again, if you haven't got Rob Piker Drones UK, you need to go over and subscribe to him, because the one thing you are guaranteed to get is some amazingly edited, superb videos. Like the initial shot there with the train and everything else like that, and then going into the farming and that type of thing. Absolutely superb.
Having that line right down the middle is just it makes me just go, oh.
And holding it as well, holding
that
through
line.
the whole pan and everything. So very cool. Absolutely superb, really. Right, so next up we're going to be talking about DronePrep, giving you an update on our story there. And as you'll all remember, this was the sort of wolf in sheep's clothing story from a few weeks ago. For those of you who are new to the story, this focused on a company called DronePrep, who, amongst other things, offer a mapping service to find places to fly your drone in the UK, to help you find sort of who owns the land and that type of thing. The mapping was demonstrated live on Geeksvana by CTO Claire Owen, who is the genius brain behind the software itself. Now, the other side of their work is landowner work, where they work for them to create a written policy to allow drone operations from their land. This can be aimed at hobby flyers like the Kipling Hall access policy, or future flight projects for beyond visual line of sight with larger landowners. And they also worked on the Royal Mail beyond visual line of sight drone delivery trials as well, if you remember those. That were happening up in Scotland. Now, the reason for the Geeksvana story was actually the first drone access policy, which was created on behalf of Kipling Hall. When that first came out, with lots of publicity, lots of different things happening, it was something that I was a little bit uncomfortable with, as Stephen and any regular viewers and people that watched that initial live stream when this story broke will know. Now, my issue then was that there was no mention of it being a takeoff and landing access to land permission type thing, which of course is the only thing the landowner actually controls. But there were many, many mentions of airspace control and permission for flight and that type of thing, which of course is beyond DronePrep or the landowner's control. And so just so many of the statements in and around there were all surrounding airspace permission and not focusing on takeoff and landing, which is where they should have been. Now, we did raise the issue directly with DronePrep, and of course had that story out about it. And there were some in-depth discussions with them about the policy. Further investigation also showed that there were significant issues with the wording on their website too. The page focused again on the landowner side of things, repeated the errors of claiming being able to help control the airspace over and near to landowners' property. And the near bit really did wind me up a little bit, I'm afraid. The website also made references to proudly securing lower airspace leases on behalf of clients, the first of their kind in the UK, which we've not been able to get any information on at all, basically. That has now gone from the website since we raised it. Now, after our story was broadcast live and following those subsequent conversations with DronePrep, they decided to take down those landowner pages and overhaul the drone access policy. Now, I'm pleased to report that the new policy and website wording does now focus on the land access permissions and no longer discusses flying permissions or airspace. So that's good news, isn't it? Basically, at least it's focusing on the thing that they actually do control. And I'm excited, therefore, to see what locations they're going to be able to open up in the future. However, I remain frustrated that a professional service whose main function is to sell drone access policies to landowners could get it also wrong in the first place, if that makes sense. That's a very sort of frustrating feeling. The drone UAS sector, both as a hobby and commercially, it does have a tough time promoting a positive image to the public. And when consultancy services like this get things, frankly, so badly wrong, I'm not happy that the public are getting misinformation about the powers of a landowner over drone flight. I think that's quite a potentially dangerous thing. Remember, there is nothing Kipling Hall, even though Kipling Hall now have a good drone access policy in place, which talks about land access and nothing else. There's nothing they can do in terms of legal drone flight over their land. If that's happening, it happens. The original press release put out by Kipling, which was covered by many of the local and regional news outlets, was wrong. And of course, as with any correction, the information that was then corrected wasn't actually corrected with a new release, which again, the word disappointed is coming out again, because I was disappointed when DronePrep confirmed they're not going to be releasing a fresh press release to correct the issues in the first drone access policy. And my issue there is, if you're so keen to put out the PR when the story's incorrect and you felt it was correct in the first place, you should be twice as keen to correct it, frankly. The company puts out several press releases per week across social media, and it does leave me disappointed. It's not as if they don't have an active PR team, they don't have an active PR side of things. They even shared my Geeksvana interview with Jonathan Nicholson of the CAA regarding takeoff permissions because it supported their outlook, but they're not as keen to ensure that those misinformed by the wrong policy are corrected. So it does bother me that when you consider, especially that public money has gone into funding DronePrep as well, and I'd hope for a little bit more of an open communication policy, personally.
It bothers you, it bothers me, and it should bother the public more. I don't feel that the public have fully understood what's happened here, because if we think of the negativity around remote ID in the US and UTM that that could potentially happen in the UK and obviously across Europe as well, the sort of negativity that stems from that a little bit, from not understanding it.
Yes.
Is all that this is all about business, and hobbies get pushed away, and this is very much, I feel that this is very much in the same, is in the same peg, and they really need to be clear about it. Or is there something else? Is there something else there that they're trying to do? Why is my hand raised? My hand raised because is it something that I've done where?
Oh yes,
it's weird. It's doing it again.
Yeah, I think that might be it might be picking you up. It might be because there was a new update, wasn't there, to Zoom? Yeah. So that might be a Zoom thing. We're not using Zoom from the next time you'll be on the show. You'll be pleased to know. So actually, although you may end up missing, it did have a thumbs up before the show launched. Actually, for some reason on there, I couldn't work that out either, but it disappeared. So it's good to see it disappear as well. So
yeah, but and that's why, and if I can just go back to your video last night, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I thought that the message that it got across from Altitude Angel, who I think again some people think that there's some other agenda with there are those who wear the tinfoil hat and all the rest of it, but we've all met those of us who know Altitude Angel, who know the staff there, they have their they do have interest in safety at heart.
They do, and
that was really good last night.
Yeah, no, thank you. And one thing I do respect about Altitude Angel is their open communication. If they're looking to make money out of something, if they're looking to have a certain product launch on something, they're very clear about what their role is, if that makes sense. And again, a lot of the companies that I met at DroneX were very similar to that as well. That yes, this is what we're going to do, and yes, it's going to make us money, but they're very open and forthright about that. And they've always, if things have changed, other companies like Altitude have always been very quick to put out the right information and that type of thing, because in aviation the right information is so important. And it was just, as I say, it was just disappointing. I am delighted that the locations are being opened up and that we're going to have more places to take off to be able to fly our drones from in stately homes and great locations, attractive locations. But I feel like there should be more work now to undo the press release and the media coverage that was already out there regarding how it actually happened. So, but with that aside, I will be flying at Kipling Hall soon and using the drone access policy. So there will be a video coming from Geeksvana showing actually how it works in practice and giving more of my opinion on that. So as I said originally, if they were to alter course and to correct things, I'm more than happy to support what could be a very positive thing if it's handled correctly.
True.
Indeed. Right, so we have another viewer video. I think we should. There's one from someone I did see in the chat earlier, actually. This one is coming from Killer B, which is something he captured, and he filmed last summer with his DJI FPV drone. And he's edited and put it up recently because he's crashed his DJI FPV drone, which I feel for you, because I'm concerned every time I fly mine that mine will come back in one piece. And this video actually, he says, reminds him just how much he actually enjoyed the drone. Really nice turn for the sun at the end there as well. Actually, I think that was a really great video, and actually that is very much how I like to fly that drone. I know it gets a lot of stick, but actually that's exactly how I like to fly it as well. Very smooth, but still doing the moves that the camera drones can't. So you can still tell it isn't, you know, a Mini 2 or an Air 2S. You can tell that it is something that has a little bit more of a dynamicness to it. But a really great video.
Yeah, nice video, and looks like he had some good miles out of that, or some good distance out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's superb. I hope he's going to be able to repair it. I hope it isn't sort of, you know, dead, but because it is a thoroughly enjoyable drone. I have to say, of all the drones that I own, the DJI FPV drone is one that I genuinely enjoy. I have a thrill from flying, not just because any crash could cost me, you know, £1,000 at any moment, but not just because of that. But Johnny DRC says, I would never purchase the FPV drone, but I still would like to fly it at least once. Sean, can I borrow yours? Come fly it, Johnny. You know, you get on a plane and come see me. I'm feeling really cocky now, but he'll be on a plane next week coming over to fly it. So
go on, Johnny. Go on, Johnny.
Perhaps I'll bring it to spin up next year. If and when the everything's still open, of course. So, all right, next up, we're going to be talking about Starlink. We've got another couple of viewer videos coming up as well, and we're also going to be catching up with this man as well. But Starlink on Geeksvana, we've recently had a very exciting delivery from the team at SpaceX. Thank you, team at SpaceX, on Geeksvana. Now, the Starlink is in the building. It's in the studio next door. It's a very, very big box that the satellite and the gubbins and routers and everything comes in. An alarmingly large box, actually. I'm not sure how I'm going to do the unboxing because you're used to putting it on the table. But anyway, it's an issue I'm sure I'll get round.
Why don't you have a drone above outside and unbox it?
If I get the weather, that could work. If I get the weather, I suppose I could use that 28 zoom, couldn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll be inventive. Once it's out of the box, it's not a problem. So the idea is that, I mean, there's going to be the unboxing coming very soon on the channel. As I say, I'm working out a couple of unique ways to film that. But our live shows will very soon be powered by Starlink, is the hope. It's going to be sort of in the background somewhere, all nicely lit up, etc., with the right window access, etc., so that it can get good coverage. And yeah, so hopefully we'll be running these streams from there. We're going to be running lots of tests and challenges with the units, so there's going to be a range of videos that we're going to be bringing out with it. So yeah, and there's also, as you may have already spotted on Geeksvana, we've got more space related content, and that's the Geeksvana in Space brand is something you're going to see more and more of on the channel, with my fellow hosts on that, who's Mike Drennan and Russ, who you'll know from Droning About Northwest, and they'll be joining me for a major geek out in the regular shows coming soon. We're going to be doing a recap on the recent Dart launch. Did you hear about that one, Stephen?
That was phenomenal. I'd love to see that hitting the asteroid. I woke up yesterday morning and got myself a coffee, and I sat and watched the launch. That
awesome.
Was
yes. We were actually going to stream that launch, but we decided not to because it was 6 a.m. UK and 1 a.m. Central, Eastern. So it literally the audience would have either been getting up very early for breakfast or long in bed. So we decided not to. But we are going to do a recap of it basically to show the launch, but also talk more about with some great footage that NASA have sent us to talk more about the mission in 10 years' time when they're going to try and divert these asteroids, which I think is rather exciting, frankly. But so stay tuned to Geeksvana for the Starlink and the space content coming up. Thank you to everybody that supported us on that. We've had some really great success with that. If you want to find those shows at the moment, they're unlisted from the main channel just to keep things a little bit neater. You go onto the Geeksvana homepage, the youtube.com/Geeksvana, and you'll find a Geeksvana in Space playlist listed on there with all the videos, all the streams that we've had on there so far. So that's very cool. So should we go to Mexico, Stephen?
Let's go to Mexico.
Should we go to Mexico? Up next, we have a submission by viewer Ernesto showing some stunning footage from Mexico. Ooh. Yeah, so thank you, Ernesto, for sharing that one. Absolutely fantastic footage. I'm not a huge fan of the speeding up, slowing down, and things like that, especially when there's people and cars, and you can see that it's obviously happening. But again, we like, you know, we were all on a journey with drones. They're all things that we could improve with our own work, and I think overall, absolutely fantastic. I mean, certainly the number one thing of finding and picking and getting out and actually recording with a good subject matter is very firmly ticked with that video, isn't it? It really was a great place to film. So many things to look at, frankly.
Yeah, really nice.
How are you, Stephen? Let's catch up with you for a minute. Are you surviving? How are you?
I'm surviving. You know, those of you, out there who will know how my background usually looks. This is not my usual background because I'm not at home. We've had to move home.
Has someone put you in a shoebox? Is that the background? Is that like the paper that's inside a shoebox behind you?
Or like boot box or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's so we're having renovation done at home at the moment. So me and my family have had to leave our home until that's done. But of course, I've been traveling as well, so which of course has helped the situation because we're living in a small apartment. It's really quite small, but we're here until the end of January. Then we move back home and normality should be back. But I've been doing some traveling as some of the viewers will know. I was in Papua, West Papua, which was really nice. It was really nice to do drone operations there
on your secret drone missions.
And yes, on my secret drone missions, and it was very eventful. There was lots of things happening there. It was quite interesting, and lots of experience, lots of new things to learn with drone operations, and it makes me so much more confident, just my own ability and how to deal with situations.
Absolutely.
It's just been fantastic. You can fire anything at me now and I can deal with it. That's how you know.
Indeed. One thing I just noticed is actually the Drone Bully. Thank you very much for joining the Geek Squad and becoming a member. I really appreciate it. Just spotted that. Apologies if I haven't mentioned it. I don't think I have yet. So thank you very much for that, sir. Okay, well, we have another viewer video, and then I have another quick update to tell everybody. And this one actually comes from one of our regulars, and I think he is in the chat this evening. Yes, sir, there he is. Alex Travels with Rosie. And this is actually from St Ives in Cornwall is the focus, with, again, some sunshine memories. I'm trying to bring some nice sunshine into your lives, people. I hope you appreciate it. Absolutely fantastic video there from Alex. Thanks for allowing us to share that. The channel is Travels with Rosie. Go follow them for some really cool cinematic work. And actually, Alex is joining me for my second part of our Gatwick video next week. We're going to go and fly our drones in the FRZ with permission, with UTM clearance, etc. So I'm really looking forward to that one actually. But do go follow Alex; it's well worth it.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing his work with you, because his work, as it is with all his videos, are always really, 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 really nice to watch.
No, I think he's a talented guy with a good future.
He's really creative, but nice to see what could happen with you.
A bit of collabing will be fun, won't it? Yeah, exactly. And you know how much I like to collab with people. So, right. So next week we have a very exciting show coming up on Wednesday, the 1st of December, which will be at 9 p.m. UK time. It's a Wednesday, not a Thursday, which is, 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we're actually going to be talking about the future of FPV. And it's a special live show where we're going to have an expert panel on to be discussing. We're going to be talking about 10 different challenges, 10 different areas within FPV, everything from spotters to regulation to the costs of the hobby and where it could possibly go, and also talking about the professional side as well. And we're going to be joined by a panel of experts to chat through those challenges and interests. And the panel will include Simon Dale of FPV UK, so the chairman of FPV UK, Troy from Quad Standard Labs. And if you don't know Troy, he is he owns the company that sells, amongst many other things, the Sicario heavy cine lifter, which is the multi-1,000-pound 8-prop FPV quad that lifts the red Komodo cameras, etc. Very exciting. Simon Ritterband, who's the managing director, CEO of Moonrock Insurance, who's one of our sponsors, which I'm going to flash his bit up on the. Did that come up then? It didn't come up, did it? There we go. Moonrock Insurance, Geeksvana 10 for a 10% discount. He's going to be joining us as well, because of course, to talk about that whole sort of the financial side of things and talking about the insurance side of it as well, which will be interesting. Ian from Mads Tech will be coming along, and also YouTuber John Coopy, who is very much an FPV man at heart. So, as I say, join us next Wednesday live for that one, 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. EST. Which is going to be a really interesting show. Actually, we're going to try and really debate out some of the issues that are facing the FPV, specifically the FPV side of the hobby at the moment. So I'm looking forward to that show. Should be a good one.
That should be nice. And of course, you can't have an FPV show without having John Coopy. And when you said Simon Ritterband, all I could see was Simon lying on the floor of
Drone X.
Drone X.
Yeah. So I have an OCD of a random wire across the top of my head, and I have to move it right now before it falls down in front of my camera. There we go. Yes, and that's going to be an absolutely fantastic show. I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, we're going to have you guys, yourself and Andrew, the three amigos, will be back very soon on Geeksvana Live as well. But that'll be next week's live show, and then the following week from that, we'll be doing hopefully the episode 1 of the new drone show with my new co-host Olive, all in studio, which is very, very exciting. So keep an eye out for that one. Again, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I really appreciate it. Stephen, thank you. You are a gent, a star, and every other superlative that I can throw your way for stepping in at the last minute. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to all the viewers. Fly safe, everyone. Good to see you all.
We'll see you all next time on Geeksvana Live. Bye-bye.